Well, we're here at the Ellsworth Police Department, and Chris Popper, joined by Detective Dotty Small, and as part of our Meet the Cop program here. And Dotty, you've been here now how long?
It'll be 34 years on August 10th.
Oh my, that's fantastic.
I just love coming to work every day. It's still the best job in the world. So.
Now, you know, you're like everywhere in Ellsworth, and I mean, I know the new Chief Coleman, and the past chiefs have certainly placed an emphasis on community policing, and you're out running. You're in plays now, and
my big acting debut.
Exactly, at the Grand.
It's nice to get out in the community. This is my community. I live here, raised my family here. My husband and I both have worked here forever, so it's part of our community, and I like being part of that community.
Yeah. What? So you are the detective.
Yes.
The sole detective.
I am the detective division until January, when we have a second position for a detective.
Oh, really?
That has been authorized. But for now, it's me. It's been me since March of 1999.
So, what's a detective do? I mean, you get to wear plain clothes.
I get to wear plain clothes. I get to handle all the serious felony investigations, the child abuse, the sexual assaults. I'm in charge of the evidence, bank robberies, things of that nature. Not that all the other officers here aren't good investigators. They can all investigate a case, but if they're working a midnight shift, they're not able to do follow-ups. Right. At 3 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to like it if you had a burglary and I come knock on your door and say, we need to talk about this. Right. So I follow up for all of anything that happens at night.
And a lot of that's changed. I mean, unfortunately, not that Ellsworth is a hotbed of crime or anything like that.
However, it is, we had never had a pharmacy robbery or a bank robbery, and we've had 2 pharmacy robberies, we've had a bank robbery. The types of crime are getting more and more serious all the time, and it's a full-time job. And
I mean, that's attributed to drugs?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say that probably 90% of our crime, if you get back down to the core root of it, it's for people trying to get money for drugs, or people on drugs that don't really know what they're doing, making bad choices.
Right. It's an epidemic.
It is, and part of my job, I have the pleasure and the ability, the chief has allowed me to be part of drug court, the drug court treatment team, which is actually helping addicts that have committed crimes, give back to society and avoid jail and try to get off drugs and make something of themselves. And that's a real positive program. So it's kind of nice to be able to work with people on a positive level as well.
As one of the, as a detective, you're also, you run the Facebook.
I do the social media page. Fortunately, this Chief Coleman is very savvy at doing Facebook and Twitter and that sort of thing, and both sergeants are more than willing to help. So there's 4 of us now that can actually post things 24 hours a day.
That's a whole new realm of policing.
It is, and it's wonderful because, one of the big things that I deal with on a daily basis is scams for the elderly and elderly crime, and being able to get that information out there. And I'm amazed at the number of seniors that are on Facebook and Twitter, and they're more internet savvy than they used to be.
Oh yeah.
They have the better ability to get scammed via the internet because they're more trusting. However, I can reach that age group when I never could before.
And that's the thing. I mean, the Ellsworth American comes out once a week. I mean, yes, when things are of importance, news stations will cover it, radio stations will cover it. But like you said, those scams, when those happen, you can get those out instantly.
Right.
And that seems to be a problem these days, is people are trying to scam. And, look, I had someone the other day call me from Microsoft to try and to help me with my computer. And I'm like, how do you even know I have a computer at home?
Right. And it's amazing how many people get that call right after they have support from some computer company that they've been dealing with. And it's probably coincidence, but they fall for it because, well, gee, I did have trouble and I did call somebody and now Microsoft has called me. I'll give them access to my computer. Well, that's kind of scary.
Access, so they get passwords, they get credit card information. You know, I know that there's been scams going around lately about Amera coming and saying, you need to give us your credit card or else we're going to shut your power off.
Right, and they were hitting mainly businesses with that. And, you know, a business, especially a small business in the area, who are having trouble in the winter paying their bills and their light bill might be behind. So, oh no, they're going to cut us off, we're not going to be able to do our jobs. So they will, without thinking, send that money or give that credit card number.
Yeah.
So that's kind of dangerous. And, you know, scams only work on two basic premises, and that's greed and need. And, you know, you're never ever going to get something for nothing. If somebody has died and left you $800 zillion,
that Nigerian prince,
that you are the only living relative, when you know you have other relatives alive, that's the greed part of it. But the need, and I think why they are, a lot of our seniors retired at 62, at 65, and people are living longer and longer and longer. And so at 90, you don't have the income that you thought you were going to have, or your expenses are so much more, so you have that need. So if somebody says, I can help you, I can give you this grant, I can do this, I can do that, they are a little more willing to listen.
Right.
They're also much more trusting than the younger generation, who don't believe anybody's going to do anything for them. But, you know, they're polite.
Well, and I mean, I know that there's been issues with people from the supposedly the IRS.
Yes.
And that's been a common one right now.
It is, and I know that if I get a phone call and it says it's the IRS, you know how your stomach just automatically goes,
no doubt.
Right, because the IRS is a very powerful, and they have the power to stop your wages, to garnish things, to, you know, to seize your bank accounts.
Right.
So that's very scary for people. So they tend to listen to that. The thing that I find is that IRS scam, they don't like to talk to a person that answers the phone. They want to leave you a message and have you call them back. And I think it's because they have these pre-planned scripts when you call back. But if you answer the phone, it kind of throws them off.
If people if people get a call, what should they do? I mean, so they get a call, and you know, deep down, maybe the hair on the back of your neck stands up. What should you do?
Well, for starters, you don't have to talk to anybody on the phone. Hang up. You don't have to answer the phone every time it rings. If it's if it's a caller ID that's from out of state or something that you don't recognize, private calls, you don't have to answer. However, I tell people I do nothing over the phone. If you want to send me something in the mail to review, I'll make my decision then. I will not accept any more phone calls.
Right.
And if you get a message on your answering machine telling you to call back an out-of-state number immediately regarding your credit or your IRS, do not call that back. A lot of those are from out of the country, from the Bahamas, from Jamaica, and it costs you money to call that number back. So just, you know, be smart. Don't let them trick you into giving them information. The other big one that people have gotten scammed is the grandparent scam. Hi Graham, I'm in jail in Canada, or I'm in jail in California, and you have to wire me money right now. Please don't tell Mom. You know, if you've got a grandchild that is out of state or out of the country, you're probably going to know that. And their parents are going to know that. Just say, sorry, I'm going to call your parents. You might want to call them.
But you can understand how someone falls. I mean, especially in the middle of the night, something like that.
2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
There's nothing worse than, as a parent or grandparent, having that phone ring between 11 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning.
We're all still of that mindset that somebody is in big trouble, or there's been a death, or something major has happened if the phone rings in the middle of the night. And you really don't think plain. And if somebody says, Grandma, and you've only got one grandchild, you know, is that you, Bob, or whatever? And, oh, yes, it is. I'm in trouble. I need your help.
Right.
Or I've been mugged and I'm in the hospital.
It's just a giant scam, but
But
It's playing right on those heartstrings.
It is.
And so it's no wonder people fall for that.
Yes, and it's so sad because if you've got to go get a green dot money card, or you've got to send it Western Union or a MoneyGram, then you really, I don't know of any legitimate business that says you have to do that. If you have one of those three things, it's a scam.
Right.
Step back and just say, no, I don't think so.
If they get something like that, they should call you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just call to check. I've had a lot of people do that. I've got this message on my answer machine, what should I do? Usually we have heard about them, and we can tell you whether or not it's something that's legitimate. Now, some people refuse to believe me.
Right.
They will go to the bank to get a bank check to send to people, and the banks around here are absolutely wonderful. They can't violate somebody's rights, but they say, I'm going to give you this, but please go sit down and talk to Dottie at the police department, or talk to someone before you send it, because we believe this is a scam.
That's the great thing about living in a small community, is that we, it's that village mentality, and everybody wants to look out for everybody else. We just don't want you to get scammed.
Exactly, exactly. We just want to keep you.
You've worked so hard for your money. I mean, that's the thing, is we all recognize, you work hard for your money, I work hard for my money. You as a retiree, you've worked very hard for your money.
And you have a limited income now.
Right.
And don't send it to somebody, and then how do you survive through the winter? Or how do you get your groceries for the next week, or pay your light bill, or whatever?
Policing has changed a lot.
Oh, it really has changed a lot in the 34 years since I started.
Yeah, I mean, and what do you see the future? Or it's hard to, knowing the changes that have happened.
Right, when we started out with typewriters and no computers at all, to the computer age, I think we're only going to see crime get more sophisticated. It's the thing that interests me now is, it used to be when you did a check kiting scheme, that you would open 2 bank accounts, and then you'd write one check and take it to another bank and open an account and then withdraw the money. It was like a 2-week event.
Right.
Now if you're doing a check kiting scheme, which we're seeing more and more of, you're opening an account with a bad check, you're emptying the money out through the ATM that afternoon. It's getting harder and harder to follow, the crimes, but they're becoming more and more sophisticated, and they all involve computer use.
Right. And then you also, with those computers, unfortunately, you have child porn, you have a lot of sexual crimes, bullying, cyber crime. It's just getting...
It is, and people are being victimized younger and younger with all of the different chat rooms. We hear all the time. I actually go into the 7th and 8th grade now and talk to them about people soliciting them to send pictures that would be inappropriate.
Oh, and that's the thing, is that, I haven't seen this, but I know of it, being with my relationship with the high school students. You hear them saying, oh my gosh, I sent this picture.
Right, but they said they delete it.
Right.
And, once it's out there, that's the big thing.
It's never gone.
It's never gone. Once it's been sent, it is somewhere. And, I explained to one young man that I talked to recently, if you would not show this picture to your mother, then you probably hadn't ought to send it.
Right.
The new thing now is they talk to somebody on Snapchat, and that's supposed to be gone in 5 seconds, but I asked all the kids in the 8th grade, how many of you know how to do a screenshot, and every one of them knew how to do it on whatever device they're using. So they send a picture, and then they get, well, you need to send us money, or we're going to post this to your Facebook page.
Right.
And so then you're getting these poor kids that are scared to death to tell their parents. They're embarrassed because they've done photos that are inappropriate and embarrassing.
And illegal.
And illegal.
And, it's crazy.
It is.
And, technology is good, but it also can be really bad.
It can be. It can be. It's great. We're an instant society now. We want everything right then. But that can backfire on us. Sometimes it's so much better to just step back and take it slow before you make a decision on something.
Yeah, it's just... You're right, because people will say, especially if they're trying to scam you, You gotta do it now. I need
Right,
it now.
I need it now.
It has to be done right this minute, or there will be bad consequences.
And one woman that got scammed, they called her 3 times while she's in line.
Well, they're
waiting
relentless.
to buy the MoneyGram. Why isn't that here yet? Your son is going to be put in the jail. You know, they're awful.
Yeah.
And they hound you and hound you and hound you. And then after you send money, they start again, we need more.
Right.
So it's really...
So, again, if you are receiving calls like this, what numbers should they call you at?
667-2133 or 667-2168. Just ask to speak to me. If I'm not here, leave me a voicemail. I'll call you back. But just don't jump into anything. Our dispatchers know what's a scam and what's not. Some people choose to talk to them and some don't.
Right.
But we will talk to you, we will work you through it and let you know if we believe that it's a scam.
And it's better to don't send it instantly.
Right.
Because once it's gone, it's gone.
Once it's gone, we're not going to Nigeria to get your money back because we probably wouldn't come back.
Right.
I mean, and a lot of these are out of the country because their laws are so different. They're not going to get arrested for a felony if they take $20,000 of your money. Whereas if your grandchild came into your house and stole it, that would be a felony.
Right.
But we would have no way of solving that crime.
It's terrible. I
It
mean,
is.
you know, and our seniors and elderly and disabled, those who are most oftentimes the ones that are going to fall for this are, I mean, this is the kind that we need to protect.
It is,
and,
it
you
is,
know,
and that's what's most important. We just recently went to the Moore Community Center, and I was very excited to see there were almost 50 people there to talk about scams and how to protect themselves
Yeah.
and elder abuse and things like that. And before, you know, we would have to go to a meal somewhere or something to
Right.
talk to maybe 1 or 2 people. But that center has drawn seniors together, and they were sharing information that was just fabulous. So that's another good part of the community.
Yeah, let's talk about elder abuse just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
If you are elderly,
Mm-hmm.
and you've given your power of attorney to your child
Mm-hmm.
or to a friend, I mean, you still have rights.
You still absolutely have rights, and you can revoke that power of attorney that you have given. However, many people, the biggest thing, they allow themselves to be abused because they're afraid of losing their independence. And if you don't do what this person tells you, everything they say bad that's going to happen, happens. If I'm not here to take care of you, you're going to have to go into a nursing home. And I think that's one of the biggest fears of any elderly person. If you don't give me this money, I'm not going to take you grocery shopping. You know, and so they will do that because A, they love their child or their family member that's doing this, and B, they want to be in their own homes.
Right.
And it is the most underreported crime, simply because they're afraid they're going to end up in a nursing home or in a homeless shelter. And we will do our absolute best to hook people up with services that can help them. People can remain independent a lot longer than they think, especially if they're told every day that, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that, or if someone's stealing their medication, that's another big thing now.
Yeah.
So, but it is very underreported, and we really would like to see people be able to live their lives healthy and happy without the fear of abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse.
So if you're watching this and you think that you may be a victim of this or know someone who may be, the best thing to do is to call Dottie.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, if you're not sure you want to pursue criminal charges, but you want to know your rights, call us about that. Just because you call and tell us something does not mean that it has to be a criminal investigation. They are the victim.
Right.
And we just want to help them, make them whole.
Okay. That's great advice.
Okay.
The phone number again.
667-2133 or 667-2168.
Okay. The camera's yours. Do you want to say anything? Without a question?
I got nothing.
Okay. There's a first. Okay. That's this week. Meet the Ellsworth police officer, Detective Dotty Small. Dottie, we'll have to do this again. I think you and I will have to do an ongoing, because I think there's so much information that we need to get out there.
There is. There are so many different things that, you know, from child abuse to sexual assaults to the burglaries we're seeing, the drug use.
Well, the number one thing is to lock your car, and I mean, you know, that,
Absolutely.
and lock
Even in your garage, in your house.
and lock your homes at night. I mean, the old days of, you know, you just leave your house unlocked, you leave your cars unlocked.
Those are long gone. You just can't do it.
And it doesn't matter who you are. I remember when I was on the Bangor City Council, Randy Harriman, who was the chief of police, sheepishly came before us and told us that his car had been broken into because he had left it unlocked.
Right.
And, you know, sorry, chief, but, you know, I mean, it's just, anyone can be can be a victim of that. And
anyone can.
Just got to make sure that you do your best. You lock your car, lock your house.
And criminals are going to do what's easiest. If they can just open a car door and take something, they're going to. If they have to smash out a window that might draw our attention, they're probably not going to do that. So lock everything you own up. It's very important. We are not as safe as it used to be. And you have to not be as polite. If someone knocks on your door, especially if you're elderly, and says, I need to use your bathroom or I need to use your phone, you do not have to let them in.
Right.
You say, I will call the police, they will be here shortly.
Yeah.
But
and pick up the phone and
call
911.
Call 911, absolutely.
Right. All right. That's this week's video. I hope you enjoyed this. Check out all the other videos we have on the WDEA YouTube channel.